I have some, let's say, complicated thoughts when it comes to Iron Factory's samurai aesthetic series. Like, I'm totally cool with their aesthetic and all that. It's just the small number of samurai design-ish Iron Factory figures that I've handled, I ended up bouncing off of because they were either too fiddly or too uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable to transform, or I like some of them I've just been ignoring because I just don't vibe with the design. Daishogun Boohmaru, or however you pronounce it, totally different thing. This is amazing. This is just an amazing Grimlock. I mean, first of all, look at it. It looks amazing. But on top of that, I think what really helps this figure is it's in that kind of samurai aesthetic wheelhouse that Iron Factory's been doing for several years now. But he's bigger than a typical Iron Factory figure. Like, he's not, this big. He's this big. And the fact that he's a little bit bigger, I think, actually makes him easier to handle. It just makes him a better figure because you're not trying to move these like really tiny, intricate layered panels that are supposed to look like armor around a figure that's, 3 inches tall. It makes a huge difference for me, at least. And on top of that, it just looks incredible. Like, seriously, this is super awesome. I love how this is still pretty recognizable as Grimlock, but it does take obviously a lot of liberties. One thing you may notice, there are all these weapons stored on him, which that I love. I love that there is weapon storage on both the Dino mode and the Robot mode. I'm going to take these off in a sec, but just wanted to show you that you can totally do that. And yeah, these just little sheaths just tab in back here, so you can untab that, put that off to the side, and untab that. There we go. And you can see the tab that just goes right in there. So untap that, put that over there. And then these bits back here, which I love these two, how they kind of work like banners or something. These are pegged into the side here. Come on, let go. There we go. So there you can see there's the peg. There's the peg hole that it goes in. So that over there, and do the same thing with this one. And yeah, we'll look at this stuff more when we get to Robot mode, obviously, but I think this is fantastic. I love how it's got it's got the G1 Grimlock kind of layout and colors. You've got the Robot mode chest down here where it kind of usually is for Dino mode. You've got a similar kind of color, though the layout and breakdown is obviously different. But it's got a little bit of shades of the live action Grimlock in how jagged it is and really, really textured. And it has the samurai aesthetic going, which you can kind of see in a few key places, like the panels over the thighs here that look kind of like plated shoulder armor or whatever it is for like a samurai thing, which that actually is what they are. And of course, the head, you've got the horns, which are very, very live action favors Grimlock. But then you've got the head crest here, and the way that things are kind of layered and that these bits flare out have a very samurai helmet aesthetic. And it's just really cool. I really like how they set this guy apart, and where it's Grimlock, but it's a unique Grimlock, and it fits a couple of different design aesthetics. And it feels like it should be a mess, but really it's just freaking epic. But yeah, there's like lots of really nice coloring. I love too that you've got this kind of dark gunmetal gray with the bronzy gold trim everywhere, but then you also have these brighter hits of silver that in some light, like in some angles, can kind of blend in with the gray because it's, like brighter. But I think that's kind of cool because then when you really start to look at this thing, you start to realize that, it's like this section around the eyes is actually silver. The little T-Rex arms, which have 2 fingers, are silver. Some of the detailing in the legs here are silver, like these little canisters and hinges and whatnot. It's really, really nice. The molding is great. The color separation is great across the board. It's a gorgeous and vicious looking Grimlock. Incidentally, something I don't remember if I mentioned already or not, but I've complained many times about G1 Grimlock having 3 fingers for Dino mode because, you know, T-Rexes are supposed to have 2 fingers, not 3. But come to find out after watching, it was a video TG Omega put up recently. I'm hoping I can remember to put a link to it up there or in the description. If I forget, then by all means let me know in the comments so I can remember to add it after the fact, because 100% TJ Omega's video, check out his channel if you haven't, but he put up a video where he was talking to a friend of his who is a I believe paleontologist, or at least archaeologist, and he was saying how back when Grimlock was designed, the T-Rex actually was thought to have 3 fingers. So Grimlock's design is wrong, but it's right for the original time that it was made. They never changed it, probably because they wanted it to be faithful to that original design. But apparently the 3-fingered T-Rex thing that Grimlock had going on was actually intentional and based on what was known at the time. Not really wrong. I just thought that was interesting, and also it kind of, forces me to be quiet about that gripe. But I do like that they gave him the 2 fingers here, and they are vicious-looking robo-sized fingers too. But yeah, this thing just looks so good. I love too. You've got like all this really nice painted trim everywhere, the silver teeth, this wiring going up around the jaw, and like the gold bits here and there, and there is so much with this figure that looks so good. I feel like, I haven't touched every single Iron Factory figure out there, but I feel like this might be the prettiest Iron Factory figure that I've ever seen. Definitely the prettiest that I've ever seen, but maybe the prettiest out there, I don't know. Now, as you can see, talked about the head already, but it is very kind of Bayverse with the horns, but then you've got the head crest and these little flared bits on the sides that make it look more samurai-ish. And this could almost look like a chin strap too. That's kind of cool. But you do get some articulation in this mode too. The head can the jaw can move up and down here and open and close here. It's a little bit odd how this is hinged, but you can actually hinge this forward to open the jaw more, the upper jaw more, but then it kind of sits forward at an odd angle, so generally just want to pop that back. But got that. The arms here are on ball joints, so you can move up and down and in and out to a certain degree. They're a bit limited, but you do get motion. The legs, once again, are the robot mode arms, so you can go in and out to a degree. You can rotate forward and backward. You've got thigh swivels. You've got knee bends that can bend quite a bit. And of course, this panel can get out of the way as you move things around. And then you also have toes that can kind of shift and point a little bit, and also the toes can tilt a bit. It's not actual ankle tilt. You can see that it's just rotating like the front of the foot, but in terms of making it look like the feet are planted properly, it does get the job done. So I appreciate that. And let's pop that out. But yeah, it's a really, really gorgeous, gorgeous and wonderfully stylized Grimlock that I am a very big fan of. Now, I spoke to this earlier, but he is bigger than the typical Iron Factory figure. Like, not their Ultra Magnus in terms of like Iron Factory scale is huge compared to Iron Factory stuff, but for compared to like other Iron Factory stuff, he is actually quite substantially sized. He's, I want to say, ballpark deluxe height or size or mass. though a lot of that too is denser, so going by mass may not be quite right. But these out of here, bring in a proper deluxe. You can see how it stacks up there. Yeah. Kind of big for an Iron Factory figure. And because I thought this would be appropriate, here he is with Earthspark Grimlock, their deluxe Grimlock, which is based off of or derived from Cyberverse Adventures deluxe Grimlock. So I guess looking at them like this, maybe he is bigger than a deluxe. Yeah, I will freely admit I was wrong there. He is bigger than a deluxe, but he is not bigger than the Duck Tank. Now, before doing the robot mode thing, if you like this video or any of the other videos, I really need to slow that part down, that I've done in the past on the channel, and you want to support things, I do have a Patreon. It's a single $1 a month tier. That's all I got. That $1 a month gets you early access to new videos, in addition to access to the occasional Patreon-only video that I make. Also, forgot to do it in the beginning of the video again, but I'm remembering now. I did it at the end of the last one, but I wanted to make sure to get it in somewhere not at the end where people are more likely to skip. But thank you very much to PandaT01 for joining Patreon. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But if you want to support the channel without spending money, then you all can do the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe, so on. Now let's turn this into a Grimlock, and I'm hoping this isn't a freaking mess because I haven't practiced with this guy very much, but it should be manageable. So, want to take these panels here and just kind of get them out of the way. Just, you know, give clearance. And then these, what happens here is these legs hinge out, but they also come with these panels too. So you kind of want to pop this panel out first and then start hinging this out, because you can kind of see that this piece here fits behind this. So it's kind of particular in how you line it up, but it's not difficult. You just have to make sure to do it the right way. But yeah, like there it is tabbed in, and then you want to untab that, and that's where it all plugs together. So again, I'm going to untab that so that we can pull this down and not worry about things getting stuck here. Hinge that out of the way. Pardon. And now for the lower body, we're going to start with the upper body. I'm going to untab these bits here. You can't really see the tabs right now, but they are tabbed in there. And then start untabbing this section here. And this will hinge out. Now, I want to take this panel here, this plated piece here, which I like that it kind of keeps that thing going around the neck and fills in the gap, but you actually want to untab that. And there you can see there are little slots there that tab in there. So untab that, swing that down. Now we can open up the jaw a bit and split all of this in half. And holds together. It was being weird, like I was trying to go into Dino mode and didn't want to hold together, and now it's holding together really well. But untab all this. Untab and wiggle it apart. Let's get the T-Rex head kind of up and out of the way. And there we go. And now this can come out, kind of split apart. And now this whole armature with the dino head on it moves up. And this is something to look out for when going into Dino mode. There's like a little notch here that this little tab sits in. That's kind of how you have to get all that lined up. But yeah, fold that back and out of the way. And now for the legs proper. So we want to take the, figure out a good way to show this. Yeah, get out of the way. You want to, it's not really parts clashy, it's just trying to angle things to show you is what is making things crash. So this joint here, it's like a double joint here that got rotation here to rotation there. You want to hinge this down and into place. That will become part of the leg. So you want to shift that down. With that shifted down, now you can take the lower jaw of the T-Rex head and shift that up and in, and it'll sit in like that. This piece will fold down, and it actually rotates around 180 degrees. With that rotated, now you can fold up what will become the foot, bring this in, and this will tab in there, and then this right here, this bit right here will tab in there. So bring that down and get that settled into place. It doesn't like peg in solidly, it just kind of sits, but it keeps it from wiggling around. And then this comes in, and that will tab in there to lock all of that together. And there is one leg. Pretty simple, all things considered. Now, I'm going to do it in a slightly different order this time. I'm going to rotate this around 180 degrees. And now I'm going to shift this, shift that, take the jaw and shift that back. And you can see also there's like a little spot where that tooth sits, which I don't know, I just think that's a neat detail. Anyway, take, this was part of the back, and this also, this tab or slot on the top of the foot actually was pegged in there when it was rotated around. That was the thing that you couldn't really see, but anyway, bring this down and peg it in, swing that around and peg it in, and then bring the foot up, and there we go. There are two legs. And now for the, well, actually, first thing, I'm going to rotate that 180 degrees. Now, this can come up, and try and get these out of the way. So what will happen is this folds up, and then this hinges down and folds in to create kind of like a butt skirt. Then the dino arms just kind of fold back, and then these little shoulder pauldron things for the dino arms rotate down to become hip skirts, which is very simple, but actually very effective. So yeah, there is the lower body all done. And this is coming together a lot better than I was expecting it to. Okay. Next, just fold these back out of the way for now. Yeah, we'll do the arms last. So keep this folded down. I'm going to take the tail, help if I actually kept it on camera, and split the tail down the middle. And that is holding together pretty firmly, but just want to split that. Give it a wiggle. Trying to be somewhat delicate with it. Not that I'm worried about this snapping, I just, it's a lot of parts and stuff, and I try to be delicate with my stuff. Okay, so with the tail split, there is a rotational hinge down here and then a ball joint up here. You want to rotate this armature out. It's very stiff because Iron Factory, but rotate that armature out. And now you've got the ball joint freed up. This hinge here rotates in so that the tail is now tilted back like that. And we'll just kind of leave it like that for now. We'll clean this up at the end. And same deal here. You can see there's the armature after it's been moved. There's the armature in its dyno mode configuration. So just wiggle that out. Again, very stiff. Fold that down. And we'll just leave that like that. At this point, going to take the robot mode head and rotate it around 180 degrees. And we'll kind of pitch it forward a bit just for clearance back here for now. I'm going to take this armature and bring it up and down. It kind of accordions in on itself. And this will kind of clunk into place. And then this comes up, this folds down, and this tab will kind of slot in there, and that gets the dino head all situated. With that done, can take the tail and fold it in on itself, and this will tab in here. It may take a little bit of shifting to get it lined up quite right, but there you go. That tabs in there, this kind of angles down, and then you can just swing this armature back a bit. And there we have that. And same deal here. Just fold this up and around, tab it in. If it will tab in, there we go. And then swing this armature back. And there we've got Grimlock's back. Get the head back down now. And now for the arms. These, as you can probably tell, will shift up here and rotate here. And that will kind of settle into place to get the shoulder where it's supposed to be. Rotate that down. Now this piece here rotates up like this, folds down, and the, oh, no, did I do it backwards? Did I do it backwards? Okay. Rotates up like this. This shifts up. No, I did it. Oh, here we go. It's going to be one of those again. So yeah. Rotate, swing up. No, okay. This has got to be driving somebody nuts. Up, rotate, okay, rotates there, rotate at the ball joint, bring up, there we go. And there you've got the shoulder armor. I'll do it better on the other one. For the toes, you want to rotate this around 180 degrees and then shift it up, square it away. This entire assembly rotates back. And if you wanted to, you could extend this out. But I prefer to fold it up so it doesn't scratch up the gauntlet gold there. And then rotate the fist. There is one arm. Other arm, same deal. I'm going to rotate this joint and rotate this joint to get the shoulder into position. And this one is a little bit trickier because it's a little stiffer because Iron Factory. Now, want to rotate this piece so that the hinge is towards the top. Fold that up, and that will line up, that armature will line up against the rest of the shoulder. Then use the ball joint to angle this around and bring it down, and that gives you the proper shoulder armor look. Okay, did it right that time. And then here, again, you want to rotate toes, hinge that down, hinge this back, and rotate the fist. And there we go. After probably a little too much struggling with a couple places, it's just my own fault for not practicing beforehand. Here we have Daishogun Boohmaru, or however you pronounce it, in robot mode, and this is just gorgeous. It is an astoundingly good-looking Grimlock. It absolutely hits the, it looks like Grimlock, but it's also definitely, like, doing things a little differently. It stands apart. It just looks incredibly cool. And I think it's interesting how the transformation on this guy is both classic Grimlock and very, very different. Like, it's classic Grimlock in that the chest is, where you expect it to end up for Dino mode. The Dino legs become the arms, the robot mode arms. The dinosaur back turning into the feet is more reminiscent of, like, Planet X's Vulcan. But, like, what's really, really interesting that I think is really cool is how, like, it splits the the legs. Instead of the legs coming from just the back half of the dinosaur, the legs come from, like, some of the back, some of the top, some of the front, and the lower jaw. It's a really interesting distribution of mass. And I also think it's kind of cool how the lower jaw ends up getting tucked inside the robot mode leg. I don't know, I just think it's neat. It also allows the dino head to tuck in a little bit closer on the back. So that may be why they did it, I don't know. But like, yeah, even like from the back, it's recognizable as Grimlock because it's got the T-Rex head back there, but then you've got these kind of folded up dino tail standards or flags or whatever you want to call them back there, which it's kibble, but like it works for the aesthetic. And this is just absolutely gorgeous. This is a fantastic looking Grimlock. The colors are, again, amazing. It's a lot of the same stuff that we saw in Dino Mode, except now you got these really nice pops of red in the thighs and the midsection. And like the layering of both the texture and the colors and the color layout is just so good. Like, looking at what's going on here, you've got so much. Bring this light around. That'll help. You've got so much texture and paint in like just the feet. I love that the feet are like they're robot mode feet, but they do kind of evoke Dino Mode claws in the way that they're designed. The patterning up here almost makes them look kind of like sandals, like little straps that go between the toes for sandals. All this is like dino stuff, but then like the thighs, this really nice contrast, not contrasting, but these really nice colors that work well together with the red, the gold, and the black. And it gives it this like layered thigh plate look, which is extremely good. The waist also, you've got kind of a similar, like the hip skirts and the front skirts have kind of a similar aesthetic going, but you got a little bit of red in there as well. I also still think that's clever how that works. Midsection has a lot of really nice detailing. The torso, like that chest, is so like it's such a Grimlock chest. But I love the like how it's more angled, how it almost looks more like armor now instead of just his chest. You've got these kind of little details going off to the side that are kind of evocative of like the ear plates. They're not the same shape, but it's evocative of that design, like the samurai helmet design, like by the ears, like that, whatever that thing is called, whatever that part of the helmet is called, it evokes that. Nice translucent orange for the chest. The arms are appropriately beefy and, again, wonderfully detailed. It's all like the Dino Mode, like the stuff we saw in Dino Mode, though this stuff was, or not this stuff, this was the back of the Dino Mode thighs. The fronts were over here, but yeah. Like these pieces moving along to make the horned plate armor for the shoulders looks great. It's just, this all looks fantastic. I love the little bit of gold that you get right along the knuckles for the fists. It is incredible looking. Also, he comes with more hands, but, you know, I just use these because they work for Dino Mode, and he has so many weapons that I want to have him holding two of them at the same time, so... Or at least one of them, but yeah. The aesthetic on this guy is amazing. He looks so beefy and chunky and jagged, but like because of the color layout and the overall design layout, you don't lose, like he's not visually busy like, say, the actual Bayverse live action Grimlock is. You can parse the different elements and it still evokes Grimlock. It's like, you know, Samurai Grimlock, but it looks so cool. This is amazing. Now, for the head, it is also very much Grimlock. I like, actually, that they stuck with the kind of carved in, not carved in, but like the molded in teeth along the faceplate. I feel like it really fits this aesthetic. And you can see that the head has that, like, layered samurai helmet motif going on. He's got the little ear bits sticking up that are evocative of his actual like ear bits, I guess. And this makes me think of whatever, I forget, was it Dreamwave? I don't know, whatever design it was that the Planet X figure that everyone loves to hate, I myself also love to hate because of that transformation that's based on, where he's got kind of like this sci-fi look. I just feel like this kind of makes it feel like that face is wearing this helmet, or that head is wearing this helmet. But yeah, you've got the gritted teeth for the faceplate, the nice color separation between the silvery gunmetal and gold and the black up there. The eyes are translucent orange, or the visor is translucent orange, and you do get a light piping thing back there, but not super easy to get going. But it does glow if you get a light back there. I just think it would look better if it was painted, but that's just me. But yeah, I think this design looks amazing. And the head crest is pretty much the same design from the Dino mode. So that's also a nice kind of carryover. I know I've said it already a bunch, and I'm going to keep saying it. This guy just looks so freaking cool. So for articulation, the head is on a ball joint, but you don't really get much in the way of side-to-side tilts, but you can look up a bit and down. And as you saw, there's a joint here that allows you to tilt forward more. It doesn't let you really bring the head forward and look up, because that's as far up as it can look, so you can kind of do that. But you can do that if you want. But yeah, there is that. And of course, the head can rotate, as we saw. The arms, they're on these big ball joints, so they can rotate around. I should zoom out more so you can see this better. They can rotate around, but then these chunks get in the way, so you kind of want to angle those out. You may need to rotate the bicep or bring the arm out a bit more to get it around, but yeah, it's a bit constricted because of the back kibble. You also get a bit, because of the ball joint, you get a bit of butterfly motion there, but there's actually a joint built in for butterfly motion as well, so you can use that. And then to go out, the arms go out about that far in the ball joint, then you can use that transformation hinge to go out even further, and if you move the head up, that kind of gets it out of the way a little bit. So you can go out almost 90, which is good. That is not... There we go. I wanted to shift it down all the way. You can move this out of the way if you want. You don't really need to, but you can. The biceps do swivel. The elbows have a single joint there that can go about that far, and a single joint towards the bottom that can go about that far, and you can use the two joints in conjunction to get pretty much a full curl. So pretty nicely posable elbows. And the wrists, the hands are on ball joints, so you can wiggle and go up and down and spin and all that. They just pop right off. I mean, they don't fall off, but they do pop off. And swapping the hands is just pop them out of the ball joints. But as I said, I don't use the additional hands because I prefer just being able to give him his weapons going, transforming back and forth. I don't really need to get Figma style expressive with this guy. For the waist, it does rotate, as you saw. Things do kind of clash back here because of all this stuff going on, but you can kind of angle things a bit, get them out of the way for a full 360. You just kind of have to work around the jointage, but it can be done. You can get the full 360. Also, it's kind of a ball joint, so you can get some ab crunch and some side-to-side tilts, so that's cool. The hip skirts are just the ball jointed hands, and the front skirts are also ball jointed and kind of get out of the way. So with all of that out of the way, the thighs can go forward to about 90, back to less, and then out to not quite 90. You get thigh rotation, which is pretty decent considering all the stuff going on up here. You can't go all the way around easily because things are just going to knock into stuff, but you can still get a pretty decent thigh swivel without having to bring the leg out very far. And then for the knee bend, you can bend at the top joint, go to there, and then you can kind of bend that lower joint just a little bit more to pretty much bend the leg in. I don't think you can really bend that knee any further because of all the junk in there, but you've got a lot of options for knee bending. The joints do a good job. And then for the feet are on ball sockets, ball joints, so you can get side to side, you can get up and down, you can rotate. Because of the transformation, there is actually a hinge, so you can hinge the foot down further by a lot because of the transformation. And then you also get a little bit, it's not much, but you do get a little bit of a toe. Can I go further than that? No, it doesn't really want to, and I don't really want to force it. But you can angle the toe a little bit. So a lot of really nice articulation on this guy, in addition to just looking utterly fantastic. And now we come to the accessories. And there is kind of a lot to go over here too, so hopefully this won't take me too terribly long. But for the accessories, you get the long and short swords. I think it's katana, and I don't know. My brain is saying naginata, but that's not what this is. But yeah, you've got the long and the short. They're done in like this translucent orange. But then you've got this nice paint for the handles with the red around the outside, like the gold trim there. You can push these in further so that they kind of peg in place and don't wiggle around, but I'm hesitant to keep them like that because I feel like that would strip paint. So I just kind of loosely do that. And what you can do is, I get his arms up and out of the way here, there are these peg holes on the sides of the hip skirts that these can peg into. So you can peg the sheath into the hip skirt, and that stores one of the swords. You can do that with the other one too. I'll do that in a second. So there you got that. And then take this and peg this into the same thing. Let's do this. Peg this in here, like so, and then this can slide in there. And there you go. He now has his two swords. They store nicely, and of course you can take them out, put them in his hands, and there you go. That looks cool. However, you do have even cooler options, and my preferred option. So let's sheathe those and keep them there. And also, because of the nature of this, you can like rotate on the peg, you can rotate the actual hip skirt, you can rotate at the ball joints, you can kind of angle those in different ways to get them sort of out of the way. But we also have these things, and these actually peg in back here into these holes right here. You can kind of see where the tail is. These are a little tricky to do, but you want to get it so that basically you want this peg, this smaller peg facing in because of the angles involved. But you just peg that in, and we'll get we will remove this piece and plug it in like this. So to get that, plug it in. There we go. That's much easier. And now this can slide back in there, and it gives you the kind of standard hanging off the back look, which he could also do in Dino Mode. I think it's really cool that you can do kind of a similar weapon storage for the robot and Dino modes. And here also gonna take this in here. We'll try. It's here. Get the Dino head out of the way. It's not strictly necessary to move the Dino head, but it does make it a little bit easier to reach things. And then this will just slide in here. This can sit back up here, and there you go. There is Daishogun Boohmaru all kitted out with his weapons stored, which is great. I love that. But what I prefer to do is actually have him wield these weapons. And what I'll do is I keep the things plugged in back there because I feel like there's really no reason to remove them, and it makes it a lot easier to keep track of them. And now these can go into his hands, and this gives him these like big, nasty looking cleavers, which I think is fantastic, and I love that. But that is not the only thing you can do with these either. Because this one in particular, only one of them has this, but there's this little tab here. You can pull that out, swing that out, and then get this one out of his hand. There we go. And now what you do is this tabs in here, and this kind of slides in here. And that gives you a big cleaver sword. And that is how I display Daishogun Boohmaru on my shelf. Like, that is so freaking cool. Like, that is the Grimlockiest thing, I think, having this enormous chopping sword. I don't know, it works for me. Let's get all this kind of angled and situated here. Get him posed up for our size comparisons. But yeah, this just looks incredibly cool. Like, it should be illegal how cool this is. And again, kind of what I was saying earlier is that I kept bouncing off of a lot of the Iron Factory samurai stuff because, like, in some cases I wasn't super feeling the aesthetic, but in others I just kind of felt them kind of fiddly. Like the Leo Prime that they also did like a Nemesis version of, which I used to have. It's really cool. I like that figure for what it is, but like it's just such kind of a fiddly thing to transform, and you don't really get to do much in terms of expression with the lion mode. This is so much better in terms of, like, you're not struggling with the transformation really because of the size or anything like that. It all works. He comes with these really cool accessories. I love the giant chopping blade thing. That's just so cool. And this for Grimlock just works so well compared to a lot of the other samurai design Iron Factory stuff I've seen. But yeah, look at it. It's so freaking cool. Now, size-wise, it is Iron Factory, so it is still kind of on the smaller side, but it's big for Iron Factory. Not huge, but big. It's like there he is with standard stuff. You can see he's, shorter than a tall deluxe, much shorter than a Voyager. So there we have that. And bringing in Burnout. He's, let's square this off a little bit. He is a little bit shorter than Burnout. Not a lot, but he is a little bit shorter. It's like maybe half a head taller if we're going to the top of the head, not the top of the head crest. Though, size-wise, I'm kind of thinking, like, even if this was like if this was a fight, my money'd be on him, regardless of him being slightly shorter. And I mean, honestly, if it was a fight between these two, I'd still give it to him. He looks freaking vicious. Bringing back Earthspark Deluxe Grimlock, you can see that they're pretty comparable in size here, in height at least. So yeah, that is kind of how that shakes out. And since we're doing a vaguely Legends-ish scale Grimlock, here he is with New Age's Clover, the Shattered Glass version of their Grimlock. And yeah, Clover is definitely about a head taller. So yeah, New Age taller than Iron Factory, but I don't think that's really too much of a surprise. Also, for the heck of it, just because, bring this guy back in, because he has not gotten enough love for a while, but here he is with Iron Factory's Burning Slug, and, like, my goodness, things have really changed since Burning Slug came out. This is still a really cool figure, but, like, the differences in like engineering and aesthetic and overall like just like design, like again, look at the paint and color separation on this guy. It's freaking gorgeous. And not to say that Burning Slug is bad, but like there's a lot less of that in Burning Slug's case. But then Burning Slug is also, at least when he first came out, a lot less expensive because he's smaller and a little bit simpler, I guess. Yep, that is how that shakes out. And then finally, here is the Dino Samurai with the Duck Tank. And that is that for Iron Factory's Daishogun Boohmaru. And you pretty much have said over and over again, I'm just reiterating it even more at this point, but this figure is incredible. It looks fantastic. The transformation is actually really interesting and clever in how it kind of bucks certain trends but follows the basic framework of others. The aesthetic is just really interesting. The actual, like, even if you don't like the aesthetic, I feel like you gotta admit the colors chosen and like the different paint applied, it's just gorgeous if you look at it on like a macro level. So yeah, even if you're not vibing with the aesthetic, which usually I'm not, but like it's just that bronzy gold and that gunmetal-y silver and then the actual bright silver and the red and the black, it all works so well together. And where they decided to put the colors are also really clever, and it's just so good. It looks so good. So yeah, gorgeous figure, fun to mess with, quite posable. Comes with a lot of accessories, but you can actually store them in both modes. Thank goodness. And they don't even look terribly ridiculous on the dinosaur, which is something of a shock. But yeah, should you be in the market, I would absolutely highly recommend this guy. He does not have, from what I've seen and experienced, he does not have the usual Iron Factory-ness in that you don't have like absurdly tight, scary joints like you do with some others. I mean, there are some joints on this guy, like one of the rotational, up and down rotational bits on like the shoulder joints is a little snug. The couple other rotational joints and armatures are a little snug, but like they're not alarmingly snug. So yeah, there is that. But that's going to do it for this guy. What do you all think of Daishogun Boohmaru or Iron Factory or their samurai thing that they've been doing for a while? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and I've got a couple more figures off to the side. I'm trying to decide which is going to be the next one. Either way, it's going to be a small fellow, but we all will see.